Hey guys, Brooke here, and I am super excited to get started on teaching you guys about Lightroom. But before we do, I want to start this off with a disclaimer. Now, I am going to be explaining things in the most beginner-friendly, straightforward terms as I possibly can. If you are someone who wants to hear the difference between a catch light versus a hair light versus a background light versus a backlight, this is not the place for you at this current time, all right? Because I know the majority of y'all who are out there watching, that probably just went whoop. And we don't need that, right? You need to be able to understand what I'm saying without having to spend an extra 30 minutes Googling the words that came out of my mouth. So, without further ado, we're going to dive in, but we're not going to be doing anything terribly sexy or fun or exciting today, which is why I'm going to try to find some sexy background music, and I wore my favorite shirt to spice things up because we are going to be talking about housekeeping. Yes, before we can dive into Lightroom and get to the fun stuff, we need to first talk about how to transfer our files and make sure that we have everything in order and living in a good systemized workflow. Now, I know it seems boring, it seems tedious, but I want you to think about this. If you build a solid foundation for your house to stand on, right? Because I'm assuming most of you out there have dreams of growing and expanding this business. We need to have a good baseline of organization and workflow. So that way, when the time comes and it's time for your business to grow, you're not all of a sudden discovering all these cracks in your foundation. You're like, oh gosh, just patch, right? It's like, and then that's when things get really wild and crazy. So we need to make sure from the beginning, we are using our best practices that we possibly can. So we're going to start with just literally making sure we're labeling things, right? So I label all of my cards. I label all of my cards because I'm going to put all of my cards after I'm done shooting on them into my happy little bin labeled no touchy. What does that mean? It means I do not touch this until that project is edited and sent to the clients. Now, your best practice would be once you get home from your shoot, immediately, without further ado, you're going to pull those cards or the files off the cards to not one, but two places. So I personally have a backup hard drive that just sits on my desk. It's a larger 6 terabyte hard drive. It plugs in, it just lives there, right? Doesn't go anywhere. But then I also work off of these solid state drives. So when I get home, I'm going to transfer it to here and to my backup drive to make sure that it is in two places. And then I'm taking my happy little card and I'm putting it away in the bin so I don't accidentally take it to a shoot and format it and cry many tears of sadness that I have erased everything, right? Because we are creating 3 checks of safety. You've got this card is now not in just one place, but it lives on a backup hard drive, a solid state drive, and you still have the actual card to work from. So if any of those things fail you, you still have it, which is awesome. And that way you're not giving money back to people. You're not losing precious moments. All of these are good things. So next, let's talk about that hard drive that I've brought up. So like I said, I like to work from solid state drives. I prefer the solid state to this, I forgot what the heck they're called, the other ones, just for safety because I do travel with these a lot and the others have that rotating disc that will knock and cause weird, like they can break. They will break. So solid state drives are a little bit safer. They are more expensive, but I would recommend going that route. Now, the next part is the write speed. So this is actually the really important part. I don't edit from my desktop or like keep a lot of my my camera files, editing files on my computer because I don't want to bog down my computer by filling up all the storage space, right? So that's why I'm going to work off of these hard drives. But when I'm doing that, I need to make sure that my hard drives have a fast enough write speed for my computer because I paid a lot of money for this computer to go fast. And if I instead work off of cheap, slow hard drives, that means I'm now like, and I'm back to crawling. Even though I dropped, several grand on this baby, I'm no faster than I was before. So buy the fastest write speed of hard drive that you can afford. Another part that people don't often think about are your cables. You want to make sure you're using those cables that came with your hard drive or you're using a better quality because everything that plugs into your computer, right, is transferring data through. So you want to make sure you're working with things that are fast and that are efficient. Okay, now your size of hard drive, that's kind of up to you. I personally don't use larger hard drives because it makes me anxious having everything I'm currently working on in the world living on a singular hard drive. So if this hard drive were to go bye-bye in the midst of working up on a project, I lose everything for like months, years, who knows? So that's why I'm like, 4 terabyte drives on like the stuff I'm using daily, not so much. Backup, Great. So I usually keep it around like 1 to 2 terabytes. You want to have enough space that you still have room to like write information on and that your hard drive is moving quickly. And with the file sizes getting larger from our cameras and video files, that's why I recommend like 1 to 2. You can do more if you need more or working with larger files. That's just the range I keep it at. Okay, so that's easy enough, right? We're gonna get a hard drive with a decent write speed or the best you could afford. You're gonna label all of your cards. As soon as you're done with your shoot, you're backing it up, you're putting it in a safe place where you don't accidentally format this baby. And now let's talk about what we're labeling things as we're importing all of these files. So let me pop on over here. All right, so we're gonna dive into my hard drive. Look away from my desktop of shame folder where I've hidden all the miscellaneous screenshots that have been living on my desktop for the last month or so. We don't have to talk about my personal life organization because we're gonna stick to the workflows because that's what I'm good at. All right, so here we are. You can see here I've got it kind of organized by couples or events or whatever it may be that I'm shooting. Like I said, it's going to vary so much by what you do. So I've got some that are couples, which I had the dates put by of the date of which I did the shoot, if it was like a one-time thing, or if it's something like a venue I'm doing things for, I'm going to label it by the venue and keep everything housed inside of that one folder. It just, like I said, depends on what you're doing and what you're dealing with. All right, so this next thing I'm going to be pulling is Christmas photos. So I'm just going to label that Williams Family Christmas. And I'm going to label it with the date that it was shot, 23. Fabulous. Okay, now inside of this folder, we're going to make another folder. Now, this one is kind of up to you. If you're dealing with just sessions or things that you're only using one camera, one card on, you may not need this folder. But if you're doing anything where you have multiple cameras, multiple cards, anything like that, you're going to want to add in another folder. So in this folder, you're just going to label it Raw Christmas Photos 2023 or something of that sort, something to tell you what kind of raw photos this is, just in case you do in the future need to add in, like on your backup hard drive, you have a whole folder of Williams Family Photos, just to kind of differentiate between each one. Okay, so now inside of this folder, you're going to label it the card. We are nesting. So NBSD 9 is what I am pulling from. So after we have our card labeled, you're going to do something before you get to the point of pulling it onto your hard drive. And that is on your camera, you're going to look at how many file numbers or how many files you should have. Check your file numbers. So I wrote it down. We're at 1244. That means when I open up my happy little folder over here, the EOS digital, I need to also see 1244. If I don't see 1244, something is missing. And this is why I'm checking this now. I'm doing it up front. So that way I'm not halfway through my project or I've sent it to the client and I realize, oh crap, I'm missing all of grandma's first dance or something terrible along those lines, right? These are all just little checks along the way to ensure a successful process. Okay, so we're going to pop on over here. Hello. Go into this folder where it all lives, select it, Command A is your quickie for that, or Control A, 1244. So everything is there, everything is good. We are going to transfer it on over and voila. Okay, so I know that probably wasn't the most exciting video. I hope my favorite shirt helped out. Hopefully I found some good music to play for you during this time. But these little things are so very important because it's the whole groundwork for building a successful business, having good workflows, good systems, so that when the time comes to grow, you have everything you need in place to be able to grow and expand without having to worry about fixed stuff. You can focus on the road ahead.